I feel like if I had horns growing out of my head, people would be freaking out a lot more. Hello once again, watchers of good movies. My name is Nick Pell, and this is once again coming from my college dorm room. Now today I'm going to be reviewing the movie Horns. This is a new Daniel Radcliffe film, which stars Daniel Radcliffe. It is actually not as widely distributed as I thought it was going to be. It's actually very limited in terms of theaters. My personal theater did not have it, so I went on Amazon and I rented it for $10. So it's a lot cheaper than it would have been in the theater. So it is available to you right now digitally. It's on iTunes and Amazon. At least those are the only two that I really pay attention to. So just know that, and we'll get into the review. So like I said, Daniel Radcliffe stars in the movie as Ig Parrish. He is a person who is a suspect in the murder of his girlfriend. He did not do it, or at least that's what we are meant to believe at the beginning of the film. He is being framed, he doesn't know who killed her. And throughout the film we get flashbacks in terms of their relationship and how that kind of formed, and then we get to see kind of bit by bit what occurred on the night of her murder. So from a bunch of different perspectives. So I thought that was a really interesting way to go about doing the film, because it didn't reveal everything right away, and it worked really well in that regard. The murdered girlfriend, Marin, is played by Juno Temple, and she does an okay job. I thought she wasn't the best actress, but she didn't really have a huge part to play in the film either. I think her younger counterpart had more scenes in the movie than her adult one. I thought that her character was interesting. Joe Anderson, who you've probably seen in a bunch of films before, he plays Terry, he plays Ig's older brother, and he has an interesting part to play in the whole movie who killed her type of perspective as well. He is a really good actor, so I really enjoyed him in the role as kind of more in a serious manner than just his usual comedic stuff. And then Max Minghella, he plays Lee. He is the best friend of Ig and his lawyer, so he has a very big part to play in this film, as well as trying to defend his friend and get him out of this situation that he's in. So the main idea of the film is that Ig, one night after he wakes up, he realizes that he has horns growing out of the top of his head. And so obviously he freaks out about this, and he starts to realize, and the audience starts to realize this really early on, that anytime that he's talking to anyone now, he has kind of a manipulative control over them. And they're basically asking him over and over if they can sin. Like, the first one is gluttony, the second one is lust, and just a bunch of different things along those lines. And at first it's really, really freaky, and he gets really freaked out by this because he doesn't know why this is suddenly happening to him. And then once he realizes that he has this power over people, he starts to manipulate it in order to figure out who the real killer is. He can also apparently grab people's necks and see past events in their lives, which I thought was kind of strange. I don't know if that's a thing that the devil has a power to do. Maybe he does, I don't know. The true murderer, though, is kind of predictable once we see a certain flashback occur. It's just kind of, in my opinion, it was kind of evident who the actual person would end up being. So there is that little thing that I had a problem with. And then people, apparently, once they see the horns, they're just fascinated by them, and then they look away and they forget that they're even there. And I feel like if I had horns growing out of my head, people would be freaking out a lot more because reasons. And so the reaction to this stuff happening is a little bit unrealistic. I figured people would be freaking out a lot more over the fact that someone has devil horns growing out of their head. The social effects in this film are actually really, really cool, especially towards the end of the film where we get to really see the devil powers kind of come out to play a little bit. There's a bunch of snakes eventually about midway through the film which start to appear. I don't know if those are CGI, I'm assuming that they're CGI, but they looked really, really good. And then the horns themselves, I'm assuming those are prosthetics because he has to wear them for most of the film. Those also look really, really nice, really realistic in terms of how the makeup was done and everything. And then the last scene-esque part of the film, which I won't spoil obviously, that also looks really, really nice, and I really enjoyed the special effects of this movie. And then the concept of this movie is also really, really neat because at least I haven't really seen anything which takes this idea of someone basically becoming the devil or a devil in search of his girlfriend's killer. And so the idea is also really interesting. It kept me fascinated throughout the whole film, wondering what they were going to do with this whole idea and concept. That being said, they don't really touch on the morality of it very well. It's not really a fine line or a consequence even for things that he does. And so the end result doesn't really seem to make as much sense as it possibly could. And then it just had really good pacing. I thought that the flashbacks and then Egg's search for his girlfriend's killer, they were really well done in terms of pacing. They weren't too long, weren't too short, and I wasn't really bored at all with this movie as a result, which is good because I was sitting in my room and I could have just walked away if I wanted to. But yeah, overall, those are my thoughts on Horns. I really did enjoy it. I thought it was a really fun movie despite some flaws that it did have. This was one that I've been looking forward to for a while since I saw the trailer, and this is one that I only knew the really basic concept of, and I didn't really know any of the story elements besides the girlfriend being murdered thing. And so going into it, it was really fun to see how this whole thing played out, and I walked away from it really, really happy that I had sat down to watch it. That's my thoughts on Horns. Let me know yours in the comments down below. I'd love to hear them. Did you like the movie as much as I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Let me know. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe once again if you so choose. I'd appreciate it immensely. And as always, reminding people, my name is Nick Pell, and once again, keep on watching.